So I request all the students, please mute your speaker. Please all of you mute your cell phones. So once if we start the program, in between, please all of you have a concern. You please take care of yourselves. Please all of you mute your audio. I request all of you please mute your audio. I'm still finding some disturbance, please. Okay. A very good morning to all the respected dignitaries and dear students. So I welcome you all for this webinar, which is on robotics and automation, the generation next technologies. And this session, which will be taken up by All India Council for Robotics and Automation, and which is likely called as AICRA, ICRA. Dear students, as all of you know that now it is very, how the mechanical students are facing problems in order to find out the best opportunities for internship and to find the better way for getting a placement. That becomes a very difficult task nowadays for the mechanical engineering students. So dear students, by keeping that into mind, so the Department of Mechanical Engineering, with the support of respected principal sir, dean, and from the management, we have taken an initiation in order to organize series of webinars in order to provide essential information and the proper guidelines for the students in order to find out the best opportunities which are available in mechanical engineering. Either it may be in the part of internship as well as the placement activities. So with this, the positive task, we have arranged one of the webinar session, and the session which is mainly focused on guiding the best opportunities which are available for the mechanical engineering students in order to find out the internship as well as the placement activities in the field of robotics and automation with the help of the proper guidance from the persons of All India Council for Robotics and Automation, that is ICRA. So dear students, with these few words about the webinar, I now would like to take this opportunity to welcome all the respected dignitaries to this webinar. As a part of this, I first would like to welcome today's the webinar session respected speaker Jose Vincent sir for this webinar. Sir, from the mechanical department on behalf of the Nagarjuna College of Engineering and Technology, we wholeheartedly welcome Jose Vincent from ICRA, who is a technical director at USPL Air Labs Private Limited, Bangalore. Sir, I welcome you for this webinar session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Welcome, sir. So I now would like to extend my wholehearted welcome to our respected principal, Dr. Jitendra Mungara, sir, on behalf of the Department of Mechanical Engineering. And I also would like to welcome our Dean R&D, Dr. Kumar, sir, and also Dean IQAC, Dr. Mohan Kumar, sir, for this webinar. So with the extension of this welcome, I wholeheartedly welcome Head of our Mechanical Department, Dr. Kantraju sir, for this webinar. He is one of the major person behind organizing this webinar, Sir, on behalf of all the participants, I welcome our respected head of the department, Dr. Kantraju sir. I welcome you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
And I also would like to extend my welcome to Controller of Examination, Dr. Yogisha sir. I welcome you, sir, for this webinar. And not the last, I wholeheartedly extend my warmful welcome to all my colleagues and dear friends. So with this welcome note, I would like to once again wish all the students and all the participants, you will sure get the enough information and the complete knowledge about the available the tools in order to find out the best opportunities for finding out the internship and the placement activities. So now I would like to request our respected head of the department, Dr. Kantraju sir, to speak a few words about this webinar. So please address the gathering.
Yeah, so thank you, sir. Most respected Jose Vincent, Technical Director of Labs. The topic for today's webinar is robotics and automation, the generation, the next technology. So the question arises whether robot is a generation technology or not. If you look at the history of robotics, it goes back to history. Romans and Greeks, they were using artificial servants and companion deities. If you go by the history, actually as recorded, it goes to 1921, where actually the machines were used to resemble people. And over the evolution, the master slave type, and which was purely mechanical, then over time the hydraulics and electric power was utilized in this machine. Then the computers actually behaviors were adopted, and the computers were adopted. Then electronics were introduced, the microprocessor were used, and actually the machines which were evolved was made remote center compliance also, which had applications in the space actually projects also, with jet propulsions in actually it's extensively used. So if you look at the robotics, the technology, it combines the entire gamut of engineering. Like in mechanical engineering specific, it has kinematics, it has dynamics, it has planning system, control, sensing, programming languages, machine languages. So when you study robotics, you are studying almost all engineering. That is the beauty of actually robotics. You study not only mechanical engineering, you study electrical engineering, you study computer science, you study actually electronics engineering. You'll be studying control. So you any engineer who has passion, anything, have the opportunity to know about these science. And as the human progress, okay, the value of human actually rises, okay, the adoption of actually the robotics and automation will come into place, because human value becomes very expensive, and the people will have to depend on the automation and the depend on the automation technologies. Hence, we call it as a futuristic. It is not that robotics was existing and it will be future, but in future it will be more. So when you study, involve, actually aware and know this, okay, you'll be exposed to all these branches of engineering, and the versatility of actually your capacity increases, and you become more adaptable and acceptable to the industry. With this intention, this topic was chosen. I heartily congratulate actually Professor Ravi and actually Professor Vijay Kumar Patil sir for taking the initiation in to give the awareness about the various fields in robotics and automation and enlightening the students. And of course, you are enlightening me also. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your valuable words.
Yeah.
And now I would like to hand over the session to Jose Vincent, sir. Sir, please, you just take up your session now. I welcome you and thank you so much for this opportunity. On behalf of the students, I would like to again uh, thank you, sir, for accept our request and being a speaker of today's webinar session. And now I would like to request Jose Vincent, sir, to start the session.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, I would rather call it a privilege on my part to be allowed to address and maybe transfer some knowledge and awareness to the next generation. I think that is a privilege on my side. Thank you again, sir, to all of you.
Thank you, sir.
So as Ravi sir has already introduced, my name is Vincent. I've been core technical guy like a lot of you would be in the future for the last 30 years, focusing specifically on the IT industry. Went through a little bit of coding, went through a phase where I was in system integration, but a majority of my career I have been in networking and internet security. It's just in the last few years that we have shifted our focus to the newer technologies, because let's admit it, the traditional technologies or the legacy technologies, as we are starting to call it, is slightly getting out of focus and a bit inadequate. So being the next generation of professionals and the drivers of the industry, I think it would make a lot of sense for you people to at least be aware of what is out there for you. I mean, things that you can focus on rather than competing in the traditional technologies and markets. So let me.
So Vincent, sir, if you want to share your screen,
Yes, please,
okay,
I'm just ignore. Yeah,
okay, I'll stop sharing now.
thank you, sir.
Okay.
I hope the screen is visible to everybody.
Yeah, sir, we can see now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Great, great, thank you. And guys out there, this should be an interactive session. And since I'm in full screen mode, I might miss texted questions. Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question at any point of time during this session. Right. So let me go back a little bit. As Dr. Kantaraj said, robotics is something that has been around for a long time. In fact, if we look at much farther back in the history, also Greek mythology had a lot of mentions of automations. So did our history. We have in our old scriptures spoken about things that could, move on command and do things as a human bid, right? Now, as he again said, yes, it's gone. It's not something that is new today. It's just that the technology has caught up to a level where we can implement things. Primary, one of the things was that the speed of processing was a big hindrance in the growth of it in the last couple of decades. But I think now we are, kind of beyond that barrier a little bit, and things are picking up speed, especially with AI and machine learning, being into the big
So
support of.
Vincent, sir, sorry for the interruption.
Yes,
Your
please.
voice is breaking, sir. Like it's not it's continuous. There's
Okay.
some disturbance and your voice is breaking.
Okay, let me. Is this any better, guys? Hello?
Yes, it is now better, sir. It's now better, sir.
Great, thank you. So sorry. So it's just things that like things are slightly better in terms of computing power. So yes, we are at a stage where, you know, especially as I said, with the integration of AI and machine learning into the mechanical side of things, things are on a way, on a faster path to, you know, finding a place hopefully um, where there is a kind of a cooperation and interaction, a balance between human automation interaction and, you know, coexistence kind of thing. We are today going to slightly shift focus from the mechanical side, the physical side of things, into something that is more focused on a software oriented automation, or something that we called software robotics, right? We will of course towards the end talk about the physical side of things there. So this is a slide which I normally, when I started out, I had named this robotics process automation and how not to sync. Then people told me how not to sync was not a very positive way of starting. So I had to actually change it to how to ride the wave. In the following slides, I'll explain why I made that drastic statement there. Moving on a little bit, I'll come to the introduction of the organization a little bit later. But I'll quickly like to introduce ICRA and the Times Group here for this. ICRA, basically, the All India Council for Robotics and Automation is an apex body. I mean, I would rather compare ICRA to something like CBSE, right? So basically, ICRA is in the position to basically setting up standards in robotics and automation. Basically, they set up the curriculum, they do certifications, they connect the industry with the technology and to the upcoming generation, whereby education institutions are brought into the fold so that the next generation. See, let's admit it. In India, we are a little far behind the rest of the world in practical implementation, or let's say grassroots implementation of any of these fields. Even though we will see that in any ad, probably even the newest washing machines claim to have elements of AI in it, which is not entirely true, because they're not talking about the real AI. They're talking about a simulated version of it, something that can repeat things, which is what pretty much has been happening for the last decade, I would say. So ICRA has come out, been organized with the focus on, one, giving technology support and industry connect to organizations like Air Labs. And on the other hand, most importantly, it's that CBSE and ICSE are doing the same thing at this point of time. What needs to happen is from the time you are getting into the industry, or a little before that, from the school, college level, we need to understand that there is an entirely new spectrum of areas out there. So traditionally, parents and job aspirants, what they focused on, two things. One of the engineering fields, or medicine, or law. Those were limited fields which most of us looked at. But now the whole point of this exercise is that, guys, there are a lot more out there now. This is a huge spectrum, which if you look at it from data science upwards to machine learning, AI, robotics, the physical side as well as the software side of things, there is a whole spectrum of industry out there for you. So the whole point of this exercise again is to make you aware that there are things out there which you could start focusing on now, right? So that when you come out into the market or the industry as it is, there is a whole plethora of things which you could look at. So ICRA's primary job is that awareness and that technology transfer which can be imparted, so that the next generation is capable of taking the whole industry, or rather the whole country's level in these relevant areas, to probably the next level or beyond. Now, the Times Group happens to be the national coordinator for ICRA. So on a case-to-case interaction with the organizations, the institutions, Times Group would be friending for ICRA in most of these cases. Okay, I know you are all mechanical people, and I am pretty sure that you are more excited in the physical robotic things, where things move around, look humanoid, and that's definitely a thing that is coming up. It is already there, and I'm very confident after speaking to people in the industry that industrial automation, the physical side of it, is on an absolute rise. I mean, everyone from a small manufacturing unit to the giants in the industry are already on the process and getting there. So which means mechanical people who over some time had a tough time asserted in the market, I think the time is changing. So it's taking a slight about turn where software people might not have um, might not get what they were enjoying in the last decade or so, where uh, jobs are available, packages are good. So I think it's taking a turn where mechanical people with the knowledge of the physical aspects of robotics should have a very bright thing coming up. I'm going to talk about the software robotic process as of now. I hope I'm still audible and clear to everybody.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Great. And please feel free to vocally ask a question at any point of time. Now, RPA basically is, see, when we talk about automations or robots, basically a very simple definition would be something that would mimic a human action. So we have had a lot of things over a period of time which mimics human action, right? And that has been the backbone of the industry for a long time. Robotic arms which are programmed to do a fixed tasks. Okay, they're not very versatile, so that they can change according to the situation and behave in a sort of a self-aware way. That was not the case. That is still not absolutely the case. It's still in a development stage, I would say, regardless of what the movies show us. So the same thing with RPA or robotic process automation is that it mimics human nature. So all along, people have been worried that when factories are getting automated by automation, so yeah, people who were working in the factories have lost their jobs. A lot of jobs have actually disappeared, not just reduced or anything. A lot of portfolios, profiles have just completely disappeared, right? So that is an area where you need to get on the cutting edge of things, where you are the driver rather than being driven, right? So when automation takes over the quite a bit of the factory floor or the production lines, the right place for the next generation would be in the driving seat, where you are the ones who create and manage those, rather than people who are actually working. So you, with your all the skills that you have learned so far now, need to take that skill and add a little bit of the newer technology, including your machine learning, AI, into it, and then that is the way to move. So again, then the question came, people in the offices were always comfortable, software people have been comfortable so far. Your BPOs have been a big booming thing. Now all that is about to change. The industry is going to shift back to you people actually. RPA has been practically demolishing the BPO industry, because a BPO personally is basically, he is not a person who does something new. He just answers questions, he clarifies doubts, he passes on information or raises tickets. Basically, it's all a what we would call a workflow. It's not something that new. It's just a set of repetitive tasks based on an input. He has to do certain things, which has been the prime area where RPA basically has attacked. So BPO is us over the years, I would say next half a decade maybe, a lot of BPOs are going to get replaced by a simple RPA process. It's already happening, where in our own office we had about 4 people for data mining and data collection, and now those jobs don't exist in my office anymore. Basically, it's been replaced by one single RPA process that does the job. And the advantage is what? Processes don't make mistakes, they don't take breaks. right? The accuracy is pretty close to 100%, and the productive time is 24/7, 365 days. So when you look at industry is driven by profits, right? So basically, it makes simple sense for anybody in the industry to replace people with such processes. So RPA is a software-based technology that basically replicates or mimics what human employees do. And in a later slide, I'll show you a quick example where a banking process, which normally took a human being possibly around 30 to 40 minutes, is being done by a robotic process automation bot within like about 20 seconds. So that's the kind of difference in productivity and accuracy we are talking about. So we have to face the fact that yes, human jobs are going to get replaced. So we need to stay ahead of, which is why I started out by saying how not to sink, rather ride the wave so that you stay ahead in technology and stay relevant in the industry. So basically a workflow, if you talk about it, is nothing but a fixed set of tasks, which is mostly, I would say, repetitive. So RPA at this point of time, in the way it is being implemented in the Indian industry at least, is a basic process right now. It is just meant to replace the repetitive tasks so that people can focus on tasks where they need initiative, creativity, or decision-making skills. At a base functionality, RPA is not capable of taking decisions. So, which means it might at this point of time replace the tier 1 people who are doing a repetitive task. But the moment it goes up to a team leader or a supervisor or a manager, where decision making based on experience has to be done, which has not been possible so far till a few years back, I would say. But now that is also changing. So an RPA process would run this task autonomously and repeatedly. Basically, that means it would be like a perfect, fully functional, very aware human being doing the same job 24/7 without a break. No weekends, no tea breaks, no coffee breaks, no getting sick. So that would be RPA for you. Now, automation has been, as the software side of automation has been around for, I would say, somewhere around the 2003, 2002's time. Automation was a big word. Everybody was looking at automation as something that could be great. But over the few years, I would say the next 3-4 years, till 2006-07, it slowly died down, basically, because the methodology of implementing the software boards was very invasive. Meaning, if you had a CRM in your office, basically a lot of the code had to be rewritten to do that, which didn't make sense because getting a CRM or an ERP package to be rewritten was a very costly affair. So it generated a lot of interest at that time, but then it kind of died off until around 2015-16, when, as I said again, the technology increased, and a few new players came into the work market. People like the UiPath, Blue Prism, Automation Anywhere, and now Microsoft jumping onto the platform with their Power Automate. So the perspective at which automation was looked at was slightly changed. Rather than being something that has to be written into every program, this became something like a human being who would just go and sit on a computer and start working. So now this bot functions at a human level almost, so that it can actually double click and open a certain package, search for something, collect the information, go open your CRM software and plug this information there. Something like, for example, if I was a manufacturing company and one of my clients sent me a request for a quotation, say X thing in your inventory, I need a proposal for, let's say, 100 units of it. So in the old days, what happened, or even now what happens? Somebody has to keep checking the mail. Okay, so we got a request. You pick that up, you pass it on to your technical team to see the technical, feasibility of it. Then you check with your inventory to see if 100 units of the same thing were available. Then if not, then you have to go back to manufacturing and say, okay, how soon can you manufacture X number of units for this client? So after this whole lengthy process, you basically would write a mail back to your client saying that yes, we have it, or we can make it available to you for in X number of days. And then of course after that it goes to the logistics side for the delivery, then it goes to the accounts for billing. So it is a workflow, it is a process. From the moment it is triggered by a request for a proposal or a quotation, it is basically a workflow, a fixed set of tasks that should happen. Asking a question, getting an answer, going to the next step. So now, what if you have a bot sitting on your system, a piece of code, if you look at it, basically, it keeps polling your mailbox at a fixed interval, let's say a minute every. I mean, human beings don't look at their mailboxes every minute. So once it sees a mail, it automatically copies the relevant information, pops it into your inventory, checks the availability. If not, immediately pops it to your manufacturing system, which can reply, yes, the current level of production is so and so level, we are so much behind, we are so much ahead. So in so many days, tentatively, this can be made available. So yes, human interaction is required at this level, but only at a decision-making point. So the whole information will come back to, say, somebody in a supervisory level and say, okay, it is available, not available. It can be ready in so many days, simple. So the whole information is there, and the whole thing the human being has to do is at that point of time say click and say yes, done. So it's probably taken away, I don't know, maybe a couple of man days, and brought it all down to that one minute where this person has to say yes. So it works above and all the other software so that it behaves like a human being there. It doesn't have to be written. That's why from 2016 onwards, we have been seeing a massive interaction or integration of RPA into the industry now. Specifically in the areas of, if you look at it, insurance, banking, again, the accounting part of it, the BPO part of it, a lot of data science would be driven by this, because data science required tons of information coming in, and RPA would be a perfect tool to do the data mining and collection of it. Now, the reason I'm talking about RPA to mechanical people is that a lot of the mechanical people are not very comfortable with the coding side of it. But RPA at a base does not require major coding skills. A very limited understanding of your operators and operands would be good enough to achieve the level of knowledge for something like associate RPA developer. And it's a quick turnaround. I mean, you don't have to spend a year learning it. That whole knowledge transfer for RPA can be done within a period of, like, say, around 20 to 30 days. So it's something that you make a decision to follow a path, and then it's just a month down the line where you can, jump into the industry and start working, basically. So I've been talking about a scenario where, as I told, not a decision maker. Now that is all changing now, because with the integration of artificial AI into the process, now supervisory level, lower end managerial level jobs are also kind of a little shaky, because at the end of the day, a human being is taking a decision based on experience, and experience is nothing but data collected and assimilated over a few years. It's something I've done, like, for, say, 2 years. I've faced different situations. I've taken a certain decision. So when you look at artificial intelligence, that is exactly the same thing. You're giving it enough information and showing it preset paths so that it can take a decision based on the situation. All you need is to give them enough information and enough decision-making patterns. So yes, now RPA from a base point is growing to a level where a whole department, I mean, I'll give you an example. Franklin Templeton, which is one of the biggest financial houses, now they had a team for, I'm not sure whether it was day trading or short order trading. They had a team of 608 people in the whole division doing the trading activities of the day. Now, one fine day, somebody got the brilliant idea, why don't we try to integrate artificial intelligence into the whole process? And if you look at today, The whole department has got 6 people. From a 608 size team, it is boiled down to 6 people. And output or the profit base from that particular department is around 3.6 times what it was with 600 people. So basically, AI has come in. The big trading houses no longer make decisions based on human this thing, because there's no time. So AI basically takes a decision on what to buy and what to sell in a nanosecond like that, thereby staying ahead of the rest of the team. So yes, integration of AI and machine learning has made RPA something that could replace tier 2, tier 3 jobs also. Benefits are very clear as what we discussed. Accuracy is pretty close to 100% since it's a repetitive process. Hello? Am I still there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please. You can continue.
So accuracy basically means more productivity. So yes, not prone to errors or typos. Low technical barrier, as what I was saying, in the olden days when automation came up, it had to be written into the code itself. So that was a problem. But now, no programming skills necessary to configure a bot. It's pretty straightforward at the basic level. Once you get into the advanced part, that changes things. Compliance. For anybody in the insurance, banking, healthcare industry, compliance is a big factor. I mean, make a mistake and you could lose your license or end up with a big lawsuit. And human beings, being human beings, they say, okay, oh, this is something I need to check out. Let me do that tomorrow. And they might forget, thereby missing some major component of compliance. Could be just a form, but once that is missed, it changes the whole thing. But a bot will not do that. Basically, it's programmed to do something, taught to do something, it will follow it strictly. So without that bit of paper or information, it will not move into the next step. So compliance is taken for granted in that area. Non-invasive technology, as I again said, in the low technical barrier area, it does not disrupt underlying systems. You don't need to recode anything. It just works over and above that. Consistency. Yep. Human beings are not known to be very consistent, but machines are. Reliability, again, I don't have to explain that. They work around the clock. So naturally, obviously, productivity will, of course, go up. Now, this last part is something that is going through a big debate in the industry. I mean, yes, from one perspective, it lets people, a person's involvement in a mundane, day-to-day, repetitive task is taken away. So theoretically, it's supposed to free that person to do more intelligent, more creative things. That is one side of it. The other side would be that job portfolio will not exist. So in academic India, where we already have problems with employment, I'm not sure which way to read that. There are two views in the industry, so I leave it to you to decide which way that point goes. Okay, to put things into a little perspective, I'll try to connect you to two other industries where I'm sure you are all, students are too young to have noticed a lot of this, but I'm sure the management, the staff, and people like me have been around for a few years, so we have seen things slowly change. Banking. I mean, when I was young, okay, I used to judge the quality of a bank by the number of teller counters there were. If the bank had 6 teller counters, I would say, okay, this is a good bank or this is a good branch, right? Any given bank in those days had like 5 to 6 teller counters at a minimum. So people were coming in, depositing cash, withdrawing cash, depositing checks. Everything was happening at a counter, basically. And then came your ATMs and CDMs. So that personal interaction with the bank personnel got cut down a lot. I mean, and now I don't know how many people have actually gone to the bank more than once or twice in your lifetime. Everything is there at your fingertips. You make an online payment, you receive online payments. When you go to any small shop, even grocery shopping, at a street side vendor, they've got Paytm or PhonePe or Google Pay. So basically, handling of physical cash has come down. Right now, what you need to look at is okay. It's very convenient. Yes. Now, if you look at it in the back end, a whole lot of jobs just stop to exist. A bank teller is now, most banks have what, one counter or two at the most, right? So that is the way with progress. When things get automated, more efficient, more convenient, then yes, it has got a backside casualty to it, right? More relevant to you people, I would say. If you look at a scene from Detroit or something, the factory floor was human driven. Every aspect of it, every inch of it was human driven, right? Come up to a few years down, and this was as recent as like about 6-7 years back. I think this was a Ford assembly line in Mexico. You still see a lot of people around. I mean, it was getting automated. Heavy lifting was done by machines, but the human factor was still relevant there. And this is what it is getting to today. So basically, what I'm trying to say here is that we need to be the drivers of this change. We need to be the ones standing behind the machines rather than, standing in the place where one day machines would get in. So you need to be technology savvy. You need to be the drivers of the industry rather than, the workers of the industry here. A lot of our generation did not have the chance. We were born too early to do that. But I think you people are in the right time with the right set of tools in hand. When I started out in the industry back in 91, I mean, the internet as you see it today did not exist. It was all text driven, right? To get some information was a big task. It was only towards like, at least in India, it became common with your graphical user interface, with your Internet Explorer, your Chrome and all. That was towards, I think, closer to 95s. And today, I mean, in those days, if I had to write a project for the school, I practically had to ride, I think, around 7-8 kilometers to the library, hopefully try to find the right book, read out the information, and did somebody ask a question there? Sorry, yeah. So it was, we did not have the information at our fingertips like you do today. I mean, everybody has the entire information on the internet available on your smartphones. So you guys are in a prime position to jump into the next thing. Like we were not. Okay, there has always been this job, okay, fine, automation, the automotive industry got affected, a lot of other industries, but would office jobs be affected? And there was a resounding yes when it came to this. This is basically a banking process where they were opening a loan account, right? So in the first section, you will see it being done by a human being, and in the second, you would see it being done by a RPA bot. I'm going to fast forward a little bit here. Okay.
He then logs into the line of credit account system in which he will open the new account. He returns to the customer master system and one by one copies and pastes all 9 values into the account opening system. He then goes to the BPM system and again one by one copies 10 values into 11 fields in the line of credit system. Each one of the values must be pasted into 2 separate fields. He then logs into a government website to obtain the official tax value of the property being used as collateral. He copies the property information from the BPM system to the valuation website and retrieves the tax valuation and assessment date. He copies these 2 values into the line of credit account system and is finally ready to click Create Account. This causes the system to open a new account and generate an account number, which he pastes into BPM. That completes this human task and causes the BPM system to move to the next step in the process, which is to prepare the documents and send them to the customer for approval. The sales assistant is now ready to move on to her next task after taking a quick break to grab a cup of coffee. That manual task, which took 20 minutes to perform, required logging into and navigating 4 applications and copying and pasting 36 fields. Now let's replay the exact sequence of events using robotic process automation. RPA is able to record all the actions performed by the sales assistant and then play back the actions on command. This includes logging into applications, navigating to specific screens, controlling applications using the mouse or keyboard, and copying and pasting values between applications. Let's watch an RPA completes this account opening task less than 45 seconds after the call center rep clicks the Submit button. Using RPA, we were ready to send documents to the customer 45 seconds after the call center rep finished speaking with them, which is a much more efficient and effective outcome than having to wait 3 business days for a sales assistant.
So hope that proved the point about where the industry is heading to. So yeah, the usual question is, are we going to lose jobs to RPA, AI, and robotics? That's been the growth ratio of RPA, for the last few years, and onto a projection of 22. That's a fairly self-explanatory there. So if you can see, the percentage of job replacement has been high on the tier 1 end facing, and is kept progressively going down where decision makers are involved. So again, yes, we are going to lose jobs. We are going to, things are going to disappear. But on the other hand, a lot of new jobs are going to be created by drivers of the technology, of any technology. I'm not just saying RPA or AI or robotics. Anything that is cutting edge, that is going to be driving the technology rather than using the technology. Those jobs are going to keep climbing. There's going to be a ton of jobs out there for for people who are prepared for that. RPA's career scope, yes, it is on the growth. It is taking off. Positions which are available in RPA. Before that, I wanted to show you something This is something that I found on the net, that how it's taking over the market in India and how it's heading for. Let me just switch the screen for a second. Is the screen visible to you now? All right, great.
Yes, sir.
So that's robotic process automation market in India, from now to 25. About the key players in the market, right? What industries are going to be implemented? What new jobs are coming in? The major focus industries that are manufacturing is going to be heavily impacted. Retail, consumer, transportation, logistics, of course. So that is one thing I wanted to show you. The second thing here is the salaries, which kind of are um, on par with the highest available. I mean, so we are looking at a technology that you can learn in a month or so, or at the most to the advanced final level maybe in 3 to 4 months. And I think the most important part of it here that you need to see as people who are going to get into the industry is somewhere here. Yeah, this part. There's always been a question of what the industry is offering to freshers or entry level people who are just getting into the industry. So in all my experience, I think this is one of the largest or the best I have seen, and that's from Upgrad. That was an independent study done by Upgrad there. So I think that's okay. This figure could be with the top 5% of the companies, but someone who is starting out, I've easily seen people start off at a 3+ package, which does not even which absolutely not there in the software industry at this point of time. So let me switch back now. All right. So these are some of the relevant positions available. I mean, ongoing right now. There's an associate RPA developer who's a entry-level person into the market. There are project managers, solution architects, business analysts, RPA developers, process maintenance trainers. These are all the existing possibilities available there. These are the 3 major players who are involved in the market. UiPath at the top position, with Blue Prism and automation in second and third. And Microsoft is coming in currently probably at the 7th or 8th position as of today. But with their resources and technical know-how, I'm sure Microsoft would be at least in the top 3 in the next 3-4 years. We've been following UiPath specifically, so that's a quick note on who UiPath is. They are somebody who started out in 16 and have a big majority share of the market because the tool is fairly, I would say, simple to use at the initial stage. So basically, anybody with say, I would say maybe in 1 day's effort could build a bot, download the community edition, build a bot with trust me, no coding skills. You could build a bot which can scan every e-commerce site available and inform you, as to a certain product which you are waiting for. So you don't need to go to 10 sites, scan through everything, and it probably would take you a day of learning to do that. These are the different components of the platform. And that's the entire suite of products from the planning stage of the product to building it, to the running part, to the managing. And the last two are basically to kind of measure the difference in productivity and customer satisfaction before and after automation was implemented, basically. Okay. Any question on the things we spoke about, guys, so far? Anybody?
Sir, how to apply for this internship or job application in?
See, the first question I'll tell you guys is you would see different fields and aspects every day in your life. Now, the point is not to jump into every new thing that comes in. I think, as I told you before, you guys have a ton of information at your fingertips, right? What you people need to do now is take a small step back, look at what the market trends, the job givers are over the next 2 years. Don't look at what is in today or yesterday, because by the time you prepare for it, it might not be there. So what you need to do is step back, look at the industry. What are the industries? What are the jobs trending in the market over, say, 21, 22, right? And then look at the possibilities. And then at least read through or talk to people about each of this, and then make sure you have a feel for it. I mean, there's no point in going on a path and then deciding to change later on. So having been in the industry, almost 30 years, my advice here would be, yes, this is an absolutely great thing. But personally, I would say that each of you have to assess the fact that, is this the one for me? Is this what I need to do? Because mechanical people are gifted in a different way. Basically, you people are the people who get the job done, right? So now your point should be, is this the path I want to take? Or is there another path for me which is more in line with my basics? So always go with what you feel good about. Remember, this is something you're going to do for the next 40 years or 30 years, right? So yes, it should make your life, your career, it should all be something that you should try to enjoy doing, right? So yes, I'll communicate with Ravi sir as to the options available in terms of how to get on this path, how to get on various paths. He will have the all information, so he could guide you on that. But yes, coming to the options available with ICRA as far as internships and certification goes, you could start from absolute basic robotics. And now I'm not talking about RPA. I'm talking about the physical aspects of robotics. Starting with the base components, moving on to various levels of skills, and finally finishing at advanced robotics, where integration of AI and machine learning. So basically, it is something that on a major level involves people with mechanical skills. Now, if you guys are not averse to a little bit of coding or the software side of things, then all the more better, because then you people are for somebody with mechanical skills, it's not very difficult to go into a bit of learning to get the software side of it. But a person from a pure software background, I wouldn't call it very easy for him to get into what you know. So it's an orientation mostly, guys. So you people would find it more easy to come and integrate this side rather than people from software try to integrate your side. So yes, advanced robotics is part of internships and certification courses. AI is there, machine learning, data science, basically. So when I look at robotics from a physical perspective, as you would, most of you would, you build the moving components, right? You build the physical components, but the brain of it would come from starting with data science, basically, where the collection of data is done, to machine learning, to AI being implemented. That is when you'll be able to create semi-autonomous or autonomous, as you want to call it, robots doing tasks, basically, a lot of which is already there in the market. I think healthcare, palliative care is, especially in corona times, I think palliative care is going to shift to a lot of robotics. Now it's already happening outside. We are started, in fact, one of the schools in I believe somewhere in Bellandur, they already have a robotic teacher basically, right? Which is the physical components integrated with Alexa basically. So you ask a question, it connects to Google, gets the answer, and throws it back at you. And it's got a learning capability too. So basically, robotics is not, as sir said, it's not one thing. I mean, it's a whole vast set of skill sets that have to come together. So I don't think there's one person who could do the whole thing. It's always a team effort where people with mechanical skills, software skills, electronics. So it's a whole team that builds this, right? The RO is the robotic operating system. Now, IoT is another area which is going to be a big job giver, big career builder coming up now, because we in India ourselves have gotten into IoT, even to something like agriculture. I mean, we have been building things that can actually roam around your field or your cultivating area, measuring the soil, mineral values, moisture values, right? So those are specific areas where IoT comes in. You could have 4 or 5 bots which are just roaming around, getting their batteries recharged by solar power and just sending information back to a PC where you sit in one console or a phone and see, okay, I need to put so and so fertilizer in a slightly larger quantity in that corner of my field. So it's come to that level, right? Any area where information feedback is important. I mean, automotive industry, your BMWs and Audis, before your something fails, the information would be already passed on to the service center saying that so and so car is going to face this problem, right? Now IoT would be a big comer into the healthcare industry. I mean, imagine if you are wearing a device which could predict that you would be having a stroke or a heart attack, say 2 hours in advance. So before you actually have it, you could have an ambulance next to you. So the opportunities are like amazing. I mean, it's unimaginable, I would say. I mean, so far we can't even imagine the extent of it. It's going to be up to people like you. Our generation probably already has a set of fixed ideas beyond which we are not capable of imagining. But I think your generation, nobody has told you what is not possible. So there's a good chance that you people would go and achieve the impossible, because impossible is just something that is going to take a little more time to achieve. Something that is impossible today because of our mindset. Now, you people have no fixed mindset as to what can be done and cannot be done. So you guys would go and achieve. That's how every generation progresses. Science is progressing because nobody told them it is not possible. So this went ahead and did it. So embedded systems. And another thing that has been, I would say, long ignored is for the mechanical, the automotive streams, the electric vehicle certification, and that's something that's come up recently. So for people with that orientation to go into the automotive industry, I think that would be a good step where the internship would be led by, I think, people who are currently leaders in the industry, where they take you through the modules which starts from your battery to automotive, so every component of it. So the drivetrains. So I've gone through that curriculum or the modules, and it seems fairly impressive, but I can't judge because I'm not from that area. But it felt, and to the people I spoke about it, they seemed fairly impressed by it. So that is a good option which you can look at, because like it or not, we are moving towards electrification on mobility now, right? In India itself, we look at it, electric vehicles are a coming thing. And I think I've read newspapers where they say phasing out sales of petrol diesel vehicles by 2030. So that's just like 10 years away. It's nothing. So the industry is growing. So over a period of time, I think, yep, that is an area. So the automotive industry, which kind of declined a little bit now, is going to come back to a resurgence with a new phase, right? Oil and natural gas assess certification is something, frankly speaking, I don't have much of an idea, but it seems to be a very interesting topic to a lot of people. Though I don't think it really would interest mechanical people. Okay, so this is one of the modules that we have been following, right? As I said, a scripting primer is just a 20 hours thing we follow to give you that basic, absolute basic, I would say, fifth standard level of coding, right? It's not coding per se, it's just the operators that you have to understand. This operator greater than, less than, that kind of scenario. And then the next 30 hours, what we do is what builds someone who takes associate RPA developer position as. So as I was saying, it takes maybe 30 hours, 40 hours, or 50 hours to get job ready for that position. I mean, there are very few things in the market that has got that kind of a quick turnaround time. But that is not where you need to stop. If you want to get to the top of it, then yes, you need to go into a little bit of coding there. You need to learn machine learning and artificial intelligence, and then come to the final one, that is the advanced enterprise, which is the version of RPA which has got decision-making capabilities, which has got a certain level of intelligence where it can go out and look for information and make a choice over that. Let's say a supervisory mid-level management level position. So that is something we do. I think with that, I'll open the floor for questions, guys.
Students, if you have any doubt or like if you want to ask any questions, so please you can unmute and you can ask your questions.
When nobody asks a question, that either means that everybody's understood everything or nobody has a clue as to what we are talking about.
Yes, sir.
Which one is that? Anybody, guys? Any questions? Somebody was asking a question about how to go for things and all. Or maybe not questions, but any of you have a differing opinion on where the market is going, where the industry is going? Please feel to share. Ravi sir, nobody seemed to. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir, in 8th semester, actually our students go for internships.
Yes, sir.
Very few students get the opportunity in corporates.
Okay.
So what the remaining students do is they'll go for these certification courses, which you are also into it. So you have presented various courses, your various courses, and actually the duration also you have actually discussed.
Correct.
And what could be the fee structure and other things, so that actually when the students make up their mind, okay, and come back to you, how can they come back? Maybe they'll actually come back to you through Ravi sir, and of course we'll be presenting all this to our principal sir and the management, and with their approval, actually the process will continue, sir. So students may have a query in this, which I think Ravi sir will clarify. Students, if you have any specific queries, sir is from the technical area. He can answer technical, question. He is expert, and you can make use of the opportunity to clarify your doubt. Whoever have actually interest in whichever area, please ask them. Ask sir. which domain, how many hours, okay, what kind of a certification, how it will benefit your actually biodata. What are the skill sets actually mechanical engineers needs to have. All these you need to speak to the person from the industry.
From my side, I'll make sure that all the information would be with Ravi sir. Okay. Also, last time when I met, we were discussing the possibility of setting up the NXR lab there, which is more in line with the physical aspects of robotics. I had also discussed with Ravi sir the possibility of setting up a sort of a mini incubation center where the students could come up with their ideas, and we would connect them with the industry where prototyping is done, where we could if the idea is marketable, we could help them get into the market, connect to investment, setting up their entrepreneurship skills, an organization.
Yeah.
So we had briefly discussed everything. So I'll make sure the entire set of information is available with Ravi sir. So if you don't have a question at this point of time, feel free to connect with Ravi sir at any point of time. Okay, or feel free to connect with me back at any time, any way you want it. We can get you all the information as to the time frames, the cost attached to it, if that at all. If not, what other facilities we would be providing. So I think Ravi sir can answer a lot of questions at this point also.
Yes, sir, exactly. And because what I'm thinking is the students might maybe they don't have any doubts now. So later I'll personally contact with the students and I'll collect what their feedback. And my suggestion is, dear students, you don't think the complete the information which is related to other departments. So where here in the RPA course, there is a lot of opportunities which are available for the mechanical students. So you don't blindly stick on like there is much scope for only the IT sectors. So there is a lot of opportunities which is available even for the mechanical. That's why I'm again requesting you guys, if you have any questions to ask, if it's not possible now, so I'm always available. So there is a question in the chat
From
box.
Rakshita. Yes, from Rakshita.
Yeah, from Rakshita GM. As a mechanical student, what are the extra technical skills which we want to learn if we want to get a place in good domain?
Rakshita, that question would need a little bit of clarification more. As a mechanical student, if you want to go in for RPA, as I told you, yeah, it takes a learning, an understanding of the RPA tool per se, which would not take more than a month. If you were going to go for the advanced part of it, it would probably take you around 3 months to 4 months. Okay. With definitely the moment machine learning comes into it and AI comes into it, yes, then coding becomes a factor at that point of time. Now that is one side of it. The other aspect of it would be, if you are more mechanical oriented, why don't we look at industrial automation, industrial robotics as a field, right? So that is something that has got tremendous scope in this market now, right? Because we keep getting inquiries as to, can you provide us a robotic arm which does a specific pattern of soldering for us, right? Can you build us something that can act as a supportive assembly line kind of thing for us? So that is catching on very fast. I mean, even a small manufacturing unit which probably builds nuts and bolts, they would go into automation soon. So it's not that RPA is the only way. RPA is one path, right? Now the other aspect which would be in line with what you have been doing is industrial automation. So yes, robotics is a very good aspect of it. We could help you out there in building industrial robots. So come up with fresh ideas, come up with something that, don't limit the mind to a job portfolio there, right? If everyone in your generation limits to that, then there would be no progress. I mean, your minds are fresh. They're much more freer than ours. So for RPA, as I told you, there is couple of technologies to be learned. Not rocket science, of course, but you should not you should not ignore the aspect of your learning for the last 4 years, right? You have put in a lot of effort. Your teachers have put in a lot of effort. So that's another option. Industrial automation. Why don't some of you even think about um, you know entrepreneurship in robotics? It's got tremendous scope.
Students, any doubts from any person? Okay, sir. So before I go for the vote of thanks, I would like to request controller of examination, Dr. Yogisha sir. So please share your opinion about this session, and I request to share a few words about this webinar, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ravi,
Thank you, sir.
for giving me the opportunity for sharing my thoughts on this occasion. Uh, Mr. Vincent has given a very good informative session on robotic process automation, right? RPA. We were all hearing about this buzzword actually, the RPA. What actually the RPA is and all, we were not actually knowing. After listening to his very nice and informative session, we could be able to understand what is RPA, right? So UI path and all. Actually, I was hearing actually one of my friends was in actually that UI path program, right? He was telling about that, right? This is actually our mechanical engineering students specifically, so they can go about it. They can actually explore a new path actually for their career. That is what our resource person of the day, Mr. Vincent, has given a new direction to our mechanical engineering students. I thank Mr. Vincent for giving this beautiful lecture and motivating our students to take up a new career in robot process automation. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Mr. Ravi, for giving this report.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. So now I'll move to the end of this session. I first would like to thank Jose Vincent sir for sharing his valuable thoughts about robotic process automation course and enlightening our students in order to get the valuable information about the different courses which are available for the mechanical engineering students in order to find their chances to get the internship as well as the placement activities. So thank you so much for sharing such a wonderful information with our students. On behalf of the Department of Mechanical Engineering and from the Nagarjuna College of Engineering and Technology and from the management side, I would like to sincerely thank you so much for accept our request and given such a wonderful presentation regarding all our students. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. The privilege is all mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So and I also would like to thank our respected principal, Dr. Jitendra Mungara, sir, and Dean R&D, Dr. Kumar, sir, and Dean IQAC, Dr. Mohan Kumar, sir, and head of the mechanical department, Dr. Kantraj, sir, and controller of examination, Dr. Yogisha, sir, Harisha P, sir, and Satyanarayana, sir, for participating in this event. And also, I would like to thank our management of Nagarjuna College of Engineering and Technology for giving this opportunity by accepting the proposal of ICRA in order to organize the webinar. So on behalf of each and every one of us, I would like to thank our management of Nagarjuna College of Engineering and Technology. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. And thank you so much, Vincent sir, for your wonderful presentation. And we are eagerly waiting for your, once if we get the feedback and the questions from the students, we'll sure come back to you again. And we are looking for your presentation next time with our association with our college. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
I also would like to thank all the participants, dear students and my dear colleagues, for your valuable time to spend here and for collecting all the information. So thank you so much, and we promise you we will give you a lot more information which are helps to give you information about the internship opportunities as well as the placement opportunities. Okay, thank you so much, students. And before I'm going to end up this session, I'd like to remind you there will be one more session at 2:15 today afternoon from Design Tech. I request all the participants to please attend that the webinar also. Okay, and thank you so much for all the to all the participants. And thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Vincent, sir.
Ravi,
Once again.
Ravi,
Sir. Sir.
feedback you are not taking for this session?
Sir, we will send that feedback link to students' personal group, and that I'll make a format, sir. A file.
Please take the feedback.
Sure, sir. Sure, I'll take it, sir.
Okay, right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, all the participants.
Thank you, sir.
Have a nice day.
You too.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Bye.